Is it streaming? Yes, it is streaming. I think. Oh, yes. Well, you can hear my voice. Anyone who's signed on, can you hear my voice and can you see anything? Here, let me see. This is the first time I've done this, so I'm not quite sure if everything is going smoothly. Let's see, maybe they'll make like a tunnel. Okay, so it looks fine. Okay, I'm just gonna wait before we get into the cringe fest. I'm just gonna sit here for a little bit and wait for people to come on. So I just put on Facebook that I'm streaming. I have my tea here. And I got this book in the mail today. Let's see. There it is. Witchcraft USA. Witchcraft lives in America today. Who are the witches? How can you recognize them? How do they become witches? What can they do to you? Very exciting read, I'm sure. Lots of cringe in that too, but a different kind of cringe, a vintage cringe. So wait here, let me pull up the chat again. I'm not sure if it's actually like updating for me in this video. It's much easier doing this on Facebook, but YouTube is a lot better. Hi, my boy. Okay, I'm just gonna get into the video. I hope everything is going smoothly for you guys, and I'm just gonna respond to this very cringy Buzzfeed video. I'm ready to suffer, and first I'm gonna talk about a little bit about this girl, Jacqueline Glenn. This is some of the controversy that people have already started thinking about this video. Is she made a video almost exactly like it, same shop, similar concept, and a lot of the same things happen in the video. And of course, Buzzfeed is notorious for stealing from people, and she is claiming that that's what happened to her. So you can watch the video, Jacqueline Glenn, Atheist versus Witchcraft. It's this new series that she is doing, and there are a lot of similarities, but it doesn't even surprise me. I'm not gonna address in this video those, that issue. It is an issue, but I'm not gonna address that. More so, I'm gonna talk about my own staunch views about how these people act in this video, and the type of Wicca or witchcraft that they're presenting, and my thoughts on it, because a lot of it does make me cringe, and it's not the type of witchcraft that I want to be a part of. So I guess let's start. It starts out with a really strong cringe right off the bat. Gives me a 10 cringe level out of 10 right off the bat. So let's just get it over with.
Oh, it's about to get real magical.
I'm Sarah.
Oh my god.
And I'm Curly.
Whoa.
We're fascinated by religion.
Today we're going to learn about Wicca and participate in a Wiccan ritual that'll hopefully give us more success in our careers.
First off, I love the Tumblr aesthetic of their temple. Cringe level 10, oh boy. Oh boy, do I love Buzzfeed. What kind of tea is that? Oh, it's just black tea. So first off, we start with this little bit of facts. And I was actually pretty surprised by some of the facts in this video, just because of the fact that there are some facts. Usually they just do speculation or they tell some type of story. This one is actually like referencing some history. It's not how I would phrase it, some of it, but it's better than nothing. A religion influenced by pre-Christian beliefs and practices of Western Europe that affirms the existence of supernatural power and of both male and female deities who inhere in nature, and that emphasizes ritual observances of seasonal and life cycles. Pretty straightforward. It's the same with witchcraft or Wicca. This is generally what is happening in the practices of the religion.
Today,
Yes.
we're gonna start our journey into the realm of witches.
You know, I'm so excited for this.
Oh my
I got
God.
extra crystal to put a little feather in, and I was like, yes.
Okay, cringe level went down to simmered down to like a 3 right there, but then instantly spiked back up to 10. Talking about wearing crystals and putting feathers in your ear or something, automatically, instantly equating crystals and feathers and bohemian type jewelry and stuff like that to witchcraft. And that's a lot of what people online, young people, when they go online and they are interested in this, they see a lot of that, and they're instantly affirming that with this video. And I guess it's better than a warty nose and boiling a live baby in a cauldron and eating babies and making flying ointment out of them, but it's still just a ridiculous association.
I don't know anything. I know about like pointy hats, cauldrons. I don't think any of that's real. It could very well be
Yeah,
real.
it could be real. I treat it as like a connection to the earth. We're homies. Like, I look at these trees and I'm like, I got you and you got me, and I know it.
Before
He's not a funny guy. He's not funny.
For the ritual, we wanted to get some background information on Wicca. So we traveled to the Green Man in North Hollywood to talk to an expert. Scared
I
me.
scared everybody.
Hi.
Wow, hello.
Guys.
Sarah, nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm Lori.
Hello, I'm Curly.
Hi, Curly.
Nice to meet you,
You
pleasure.
too. Where are we currently? Well, this magical place is the Green Man store. It's in North Hollywood, California. You are on your spiritual path. You're sort of witchy curious.
Okay, so a lot of people who are witchy curious, like she just said, will go to a shop, and what they're met with is a very important aspect of their eventual journey. And it's the same for the open ritual they attend later on in this episode. These first forays into the craft, into Wicca, into witchcraft, can make a big impression, and they can lead you down a certain path. For the people especially who are just dabbling, unfortunately a lot of them will come to this and they'll be like, oh, this is what this is. And if they say this is for me, they'll stick with that, and all the best to them. But if they don't like that, I wouldn't. If I was introduced to these kind of things, I would instantly want to do something else. So it can lead them into a very skewed impression. And my solution to this is when people have a shop and beginners come in, actually recommend them books, recommend them resources, tell them about the history, and tell them about the differing styles. But of course, that's not what this shop does. In both videos of what's her name, Jacqueline, they go to this shop and they're very good at just selling products, pushing candles and pushing all different types of products and saying, these are the tools of witchcraft. You'll need these first. It's a little ridiculous. Okay, let's go on and see how this lady feels it is fit to introduce these people to their first taste of witchcraft.
1950s. Okay, Gerald Gardner in England had his
Okay. I love that they mention Gerald Gardner, and I love how they have the production quality where they can do illustrations, and it's really cool. You often just see pictures. You don't have artists going into the history and drawing pictures of the old founders and the old priests. But already it's kind of skewing things, because if you know anything about history, when Gerald Gardner first publicized the religion, he called it witchcraft, and he called himself a witch, a priest and witch of witchcraft. Now, when they say in the 50s, Gerald Gardner called himself a Wiccan priest, already you're introducing something that skews your impression of the actual facts. The actual facts are that Gerald Gardner spelled the word Wicca with one C, and Wiccan was not a part of the vocabulary. No one was a Wiccan, you were just a Wicca. Wicca meant either one priest or the whole brotherhood of the priesthood. Just turning my ringer off because I'm getting notifications. I love all the hideous comments you guys are leaving. It really affirms my feelings, but I'm just too polite to say them.
Wiccan tradition, so
in his Wiccan tradition, so Wicca. It seems like she's specifically trying to slap the word Wicca onto Gerald Gardner, but that's just a misrepresentation of the actual history. He did not create a Wiccan tradition. He did not create Wicca. He publicized a witchcraft tradition of witchcraft. So they're already trying to introduce new terms and new spellings and new labels and new terminology to something that originally wasn't like that. And that further helps to divide the idea of witchcraft and Wicca being the same thing, because they were meant to be the same thing. Can you guys still see me? I'm blocking myself a little bit, but so people will think that there's Wicca and then there's witchcraft. If you really look back at it, they come from the same place. They're the same thing.
Wicca. 50s and 60s, it started to come into the United States. Paganism it's become an umbrella term, and Wicca has also become an umbrella term. And the past few decades, you have the Dianics, you have earth-based spirituality, you have the reclaiming tradition.
Can I get some water really fast?
Yeah,
Sorry, before you answer that. I can just feel like my throat itchy.
So,
Do you care if I keep drinking water while we're doing this? Okay, right.
Here's some other basic Wicca info. #WickFo. JK, that's stupid, I'm sorry. Wiccans believe in the existence of magic, and that by practicing magic through rites, spells, and potions, they can affect change. Many Wiccans live by an ethical code called the Wiccan Rede that states,
At least they said many Wiccans and not all Wiccans.
"And it harm none, do what ye will." Many are pan or polytheist.
And they actually got it right. And it harm none, do what ye will, not and it harm nobody, do what thou wilt, or something. Like many people flip it all around.
And recognize the goddess and god among many other deities. Wiccans with shared beliefs form covens with whom they practice. Beliefs, practices, and structure can vary drastically across covens.
Okay, and this part gives me the ultimate cringe, because tools of the trade. These are the tools of Wicca, I suppose. And we'll see what she tries to say are the tools of Wicca. Can you still see me? Okay.
So every crystal has a...
Crystals are number one tool of Wicca, the crystal. I'm suffering.
different quality or essence. You can charge these to like a kind of a neutral. You can charge these up with your intention on the full moon.
How do you charge them?
First
I know zero things about what's happening.
First you need to clean it, so you can put it in a bowl of salt water under the full moon. You can clean it by air with incense or sage, and you charge.
And of course she mentioned sage. You got to pair up your crystals with sage. That she's saying all this simply because she can sell things. She can sell you 20 crystals for $2 or $3 a piece, and then she can charge you the bundle of sage, and then you have to have something to burn the sage in, and then she can sell you on all this other stuff, and then if you want to cast a spell, you buy all these other things. It's clever. She's making money. Every newcomer that comes in is probably going to buy a few crystals. They're not scary. They're very easy to get. They're very easy to wrap your head around. But think again about how she's introducing these newcomers to Wicca. She's not saying it's a religion, so you should start out by trying to connect with the witch's god and goddess, or these deities, or the history of the witch's Sabbath, and try to plug into the energy of the current running through witchcraft and its whole history. No, she's saying, burn this Native American ripoff of sage over your crystals, and now you're a witch. So, sage, furthermore, is something that is still a very sacred aspect of Native American spirituality. So you have these stores popping up all around selling sage and recommending everyone burn it. It's not cultural appropriation. It's shallow spirituality. If the history of your family discovered sage a long time ago and they were like, we're going to burn this, and this is what it feels like when we use this. It cleanses things, and we're going to adopt this as part of our spirituality. That's a beautiful thing. That's a tradition that you always keep. But if you just came over and you were like, oh, these people are burning it, so I should burn it too. This book says I should burn it, so I'll buy some. That's empty ritual. It's shallow spirituality. It means nothing to you. You're simply doing it because other people did it first and you decided to do it too. So that's my big gripe with sage. All cultures have had incense and sacred herbs and sacred resins. So use one that's actually in line with your spiritual tradition. If you're not Native American, don't do it.
Charge it up using your magic and your personal juice.
Your
Yeah.
juice.
Your juice.
I got a lot of personal juice.
You do, I
You
can
do.
see that. So pendulums are part of
His personal juice is the overwhelming droplets of sweat coming out of him.
divination. So you have to sort of tune in, get quiet, and you're basically telling the pendulum what is a yes and a no. This is a yes, and then the pendulum, and this is a no. So then when you're going to the health food store and you have to decide what kind of vitamin C you want to get and which one is better for you, you
Take out your pendulum in the store, and you're like,
Yeah.
Every candle has a different.
So pendulums, the second tool of the witch, I guess. It costs probably like $2, maybe $1 to produce a pendulum, and stores can sell them for $15 to $20, sometimes more. Clever, but it's not the tool of the witch. It's not the second tool of the witch.
Color, and you've got two-tone candles.
Yeah, what are
you've
these?
got cats down here.
two-toned ones.
Well, this is what you are, absorbing or you're releasing, and then this is what you're bringing in.
There's also some.
Phallic candle.
There's some phallic candles as well. I didn't see those at first. What would you use a penis candle
Yeah.
for? We're just gonna ask.
Yeah.
What do you think we would use a penis candle
Well,
for?
I don't know, because I could be like, I would love to kill his boner if I'm mad at him.
Think about the driving primal.
Imagine going into any spiritual temple and making penis jokes to the person who's nice enough to give you a tour. It's just so really cringy. If you're going to talk to a priestess or a priest, please don't make penis jokes to them. Be polite. I know that they're like playing this up for the cameras, but it's just typical Buzzfeed, just being as cringy as possible. I mean, I'm being really mean to these kids, but I mean, if they take that job at Buzzfeed and they promote Buzzfeed, they kind of deserve a little bit of of teasing, I guess. So I don't feel too bad.
Force of masculinity that is represented in that phallic symbol.
Wizards are a thing, right? That's not real.
And what are wizards? So what do wizards come into play?
What do you-
It's all real, Sarah.
What I'm
Wait
learning
outside. How does this work? Do you eat it? Do you burn it? Do you smoke it?
obviously, I mean, I just hope from the bottom of my heart that he's joking about this, because who doesn't know what incense is? He thinks you smoke it.
You can burn it. Root, stem, leaf, branch, berry.
Can I rub this on me?
Sure. Like the prosperity.
The prosperity, there's nothing left.
Dragon's blood is very powerful to heal cuts.
What about for like hangnails?
Yeah, probably.
That's a common problem.
They're real questions.
It seems like a lot of work.
Okay, that's basically the end of the first part of the video, and I'll say about the lady, she's trying to make her shop successful, and a lot of the time when people walk in and they're beginners, the muggles out there, they won't be interested in actually buying something that's ceremonial or that will be a powerful tool for them to use for a long time or in line with a certain tradition. They just want to buy those crystals and maybe a deck of tarot cards and some easy things that you can light on fire, and like candles and sage. And like they're saying, it seems like a lot of work. So this is where they make their money, and that's perfectly fine. But the problem is when newcomers come who would actually be really talented and would devote a lot of time to witchcraft, and they get introduced to this consumerist idea of witchcraft rather than this priestly type of witchcraft, they can often get led astray.
And I watch too much television to have time to do this
That's
stuff.
what I feel like too. I got a crystal, and then I also got an incense burner.
Did you get incense for the burner?
I got incense, I got coal, and then I got herbs to burn.
I'm excited
I love how they're making the cha-ching sound in the background.
tomorrow to like actually see what happens, because we're gonna be doing
Yes,
some
alrighty.
work.
So I gotta put my cross away.
I'll hide my giant Jesus tattoo on my back.
Perfect.
Today we are participating in a Wiccan ceremony ritual that is hopefully going to lead to some career success.
I'm just hoping that I have a little bit more money in my wallet by the end of the day.
You expect that
They don't have any money in their wallet because they spent it all on crystals.
quick a turnaround?
Yeah. I believe in miracles.
I want to be like a savant at, being a witch.
I'm nervous that I'm gonna get the church giggles while I'm there. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen today.
To prevent making complete fools of ourselves during the ritual, we enlisted a little help.
I'm Yvonne Conway Williams. I have actually been practicing witchcraft since 1982.
Now, I really like this priestess. She presents herself very well, and her whole space and her whole thing is to be welcoming. At the same time, if I went to this ritual that she puts on, I'd be so bored the entire time. I have another video, an older video that's called Witchcraft Should Be Powerful. And this is more in line with like a Christian ceremony, or a Christian church ceremony. Instead of sitting in the pews, you're just standing around a circle. Not a lot happens, and not a lot of power is actually raised, and everything is kind of simplified down. If you got a 5-year-old in this circle, they probably could do it. Now, for beginners or people who don't really want to go into anything really hardcore occult practice, this would be a really good circle for them. But when you broadcast this out to the entire world, this is Wicca, they're going to get a very skewed version of what actual traditional Wicca is like. And I'll show you a little video about what actual traditional Wicca is like. And I want you to look at this ritual and then compare it to what happens after. The difference is just completely staggering.
Farewell, O sun, ever-returning light, the hidden God forever yet remains, who now departs to the land of youth, through the gates of death, to dwell enthroned, the judge of gods and men, the horn leader of the hosts of earth, Yet even as he stands unseen about the circle, so dwelleth he within the sacred seas. Ye lords of the watchtowers of the south, I summon, stir, and call ye up to witness the rites and to guard the circle.
And I say yes, and that cures the mystery for them. Then when I start talking stuff,
Now watch this part.
materialize
If you want to see what raising power is like.
spirits.
That dance was tame for an Alexandrian circle. So compare this. It's an old grainy footage, and some of it is dramatized for the cameras. But you see, if you look at this, you see the witches' Sabbath from history. You see chaotic dances happening. You see ecstatic rituals. You don't get any of this in the other video. So when you say this is Wicca, and then you look at the other video and you say this is Wicca, what are people supposed to think?
I'm an ordained elder high priestess in my coven.
It sounds very badass.
Yeah.
The witchcraft was some
It is badass to be a priest or a priestess, definitely.
thing that I wanted to do to kind of take control of my life.
What are some of the like most common misconceptions?
Let's see, the biggest one I think is that we worship the devil. There are witches who do, but in Wicca, the Christian devil isn't even recognized as an existing entity per se.
So now we're gonna get ready for this ceremony.
gonna get
right?
ready.
This ritual.
Okay, all right.
But sometimes when he shows up, he is an awful lot like the devil.
It's gonna be amazing.
Is there anything that we should know?
Always go clockwise. The energy that we're gonna, yeah.
Are we now after the ceremony close to?
That's something in a lot of Neo-Wiccan books. Always go clockwise. Always go clockwise. If you go backwards, it'll mess up the whole ritual. It'll mess up all the energies and send them the wrong way. And also undoing the circle backwards. It's a bunch of New Age nonsense. There's no meaning to it.
To being witches?
You've now had experience, but a lot of traditions, it'll be like a year and a day studying.
Oh, I'm gonna get to work.
The Gardnerians are really strict with the year and a day thing from what I've heard. But Alexandrians, it's just whenever the student is deemed ready. Usually they'll be told they have to go away for a month and then come back. Sometimes it's not even that. Alex Sanders used to say something like, some people it's over a year before they can join. Some people it's the next day. And Maxine was like, if I was going to be reinitiated, how long would it take me? And he was like, oh, definitely over a year. So it depends in the Alexandrian tradition. Year and a day thing is not actually a thing there.
What I'll have you guys do is as you come in, I will anoint you with some oil on your forehead, which will be about where your third eye is. I think we'd start with a grounding to make sure that you're all centered before we start. Shake off any tension or stress you may be carrying. Let go of your worries and visualize roots growing from the base of your spine, down your legs, out your feet, down to the earth's underground rivers with its now visualize tree branches. Let yourself be at one with the earth and the universe. We'll do a cleansing of the space and creating sacred space. Earth and water, by casting thee, no spell or unknown hindrance be, except in true accord with me. And as my will, so mote it be.
So motive.
Something else I'm noticing for the first time is that she's the only one doing anything. So once again, comparison to a Christian church service, you have the priest doing everything and everyone else just watching. That's not a witchcraft circle that I would like to be in. I mean, she's doing it well. She knows what she's going to do. She's obviously done it many times. I'm sure she does these meetings often. And she doesn't do things that she doesn't understand. She explains everything she does. But at the same time, in a thriving, healthy coven, everyone gets to do certain things. Everyone gets to be involved. Everyone's energy and power is going into the ritual, not just one person's while everyone else watches.
What's called calling on the quarters, which would be the north, south, east, and west, and bringing in those particular energies to kind of help hold down our circle, so to speak. Hail ye lords of the western quadrant. I do summon, stir, and call you up that you may bear witness to this rite.
Look at that lady right here. She looks so sad. She's like, this is boring. I want to do something.
And lend your protection in the west. And then I'll do what's called casting the circle. And casting the circle is creating an energetic barrier. We'll raise a cone of power to kind of raise more energy. Feel the energy rising up through your roots, past the underground rivers, rocks, and soil back until it hovers at the bottom of your feet. Feeling the energy moving around, passing around faster and faster. Now, as if it was a blanket. Disconnect it from your hands. Then we'll call in the Lord and the Lady. Great Goddess, Mighty Mother, raise the power of the sacred rite, refresh us with your kiss, and grant us the pleasure and peace of your company. And then we'll start on the work. Today, we're going to be working on success. Any color piece of paper, bullet point words of something that you want to manifest in your career.
We're going to have to read this out loud?
No.
Okay.
Back to my video, witchcraft should be powerful. Does this really feel powerful to anyone? Probably not.
You are going to first look at these oils. There's a variety for different purposes, and you're going to apply one to a candle.
Which one? This one? Oh,
Yeah.
beauty. Oh, it smells delicious.
Element of earth, I ask you
Oh,
for...
but what's cool is that you can participate in a way that
You don't
might not
normally
be
get
able
to
Yeah.
in other religions.
Yeah.
Element of air, I ask for your aid.
That's sad that they think Wiccan rituals, that's the participation, writing something on a note card.
Everything also, like, as it was happening, it made sense to me, even though, like,
Yeah.
I had never experienced it before.
And then we're going to have cakes and ale, or actually mini cinnamon buns and martinellis. And then we will...
Real witches drink wine. They have a lot more fun. No, I actually drank martinellis at all my rituals before I was 21. Well, almost all of them. It's good.
We'll do everything in reverse. Circle is open, but unbroken. May the love of the goddess
Go in our hearts. Merry have we met, and merry have we been. So merry let us part, and merry meet again. It is ended. Blessed be. Huzzah!
Usually after a ritual, we'll do a feast. And the whole point behind the feast is to kind of pull our energy back down.
I had a lot of fun doing it. I was up in the sun, I was deep in the earth. I felt like I also was a little awkward because at one point I walked the wrong way and I was like, no, wrong, the other way, and I had to walk the other way.
It's sort of like farting in yoga class.
I don't fart in yoga class, Sarah.
Everybody farts.
You
farts in
sick
yoga class.
farter, yoga farter.
I really like the elements where you're getting your power, like your source of energy from the earth. That part really spoke to me because I think nature is like the greatest source of power in, the world. People thinking that there's something going on, whether it be like satanic or like evil, that's like a really common misconception. And I think it's definitely just more about your own energy.
It felt great. It actually felt like just a
really
nice positive ceremony that we were just sharing with friends. And you get like a fun snack at the end.
Sounds like a Christian church service once again. At least people brought snacks. Okay, that's it. And then some more cringy videos for you to choose from. So there was a lot of questions and hilarious comments. I'm just gonna find a video to play in the background while I address some of those things. Alex and Maxine, you can't go wrong. Where is that? Oh, Legend of the Witches. So, after that Christian church service with a god and goddess replacing the Christian god, let's actually see a real Witches' Sabbath playing in the background. Okay. Okay, looks good. Okay, I shall sit right here so you guys can see me. And let's see. Cringe seems to be the popular word in this group chat. If you guys have any questions, just ask them and I'll get to them. Cringe fest. The neighbors are being loud outside. Cringe level 10, oh boy. Straight to the damn crystals, yes. Sacred stones and crystals actually have a long occult history, but not how people use them today. Someone was comparing Screeching Ramen Noodles was comparing this to a pet shop that tells you misinformation about the pets, and that's a pretty good comparison. And yes, you guys can ask any questions.
To protect him from death. On his way to the circle, the initiate is to be made aware, through his own experience, of the four elements which make up the universe. Water,
Michael.
air, earth,
Someone asked about familiars.
the first is...
Stop that. Someone asked about familiars. Why do people call their pets familiars? And that's something that's like kind of cutesifying an actual occult practice of creating or conjuring up or receiving a spiritual familiar. They're like, oh no, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to call my cat my familiar. It's also a very like Hollywood movie type trope of having a cat as your familiar or something like that. I don't know if I'm not seeing the questions, but it's been staying the same for a while. Come on, get to the Witches' Sabbath. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that other video as well. The, what's her name? I'm so bad with names, but the other video where Buzzfeed ripped off that one girl. That's something Buzzfeed does a lot. But at the same time, BuzzFeed approached it in a very different way that I actually appreciated compared to the other video. She came at it from an atheist perspective, and her whole thing was kind of debating with the guy instead of actually listening to his beliefs. So she was continually challenging him, and I just felt like, why are you doing a show about different spiritual paths if the only thing is you're trying to debate with them? Like, do a debate show. It was just kind of frustrating because at least in the BuzzFeed video they actually explored and tried to figure some things out. Even if they didn't get very good answers, they were trying to discover for themselves some answers to this spiritual path. Sadly, in both videos there was hardly any information, any actual information. You could go to one of my 10-minute videos and get way more information than both of those episodes combined. let's see. Riley asked, how would you go about finding a Gardnerian or Alexandrian coven to train with? Sometimes they're on witchvox.com, witchvox.com. But I would recommend, because you usually can't find them there actually, is going on, there's British Traditional Witchcraft on Facebook, there's Gardnerian Witchcraft, there's Alexandrian Witchcraft Facebook groups, and you can go on there and they usually have a document with all the different priests accepting students on the Facebook page, or you can post, I'm in this place and I am trying to find a Gardnerian or Alexandrian coven. And I think it's important to talk to Gardnerians and Alexandrians and to see the differences that they have in the traditions, and then furthermore try to compare the different people you talk to and see if they actually are well trained and if they seem to know what they're talking about. And once you ascertain if you think it's actually a really intelligent, well put together coven, go about trying to find out how you can join. And remember, nothing in the craft is given without first asking for it. No one's going to offer you a place in their coven, and if they do, you should probably be worried. What else do I have to say about that? Oh, there are many covens who are poorly trained, so I'll give you a little bit about me actually finding an Alexandrian coven. The video's distracting me. I talked to who I thought was one of the most well-spoken and brave priests out there in the British traditions. And I got to know him a little bit, and after a while I thought, I realized that in the old days witches flew very far distances to get to the Sabbath, so I decided that I was going to fly a very large distance, not on a broomstick, but on a plane. So I flew all the way across the country to New Orleans to get my initiation. So if you really, really are meant to be a priest of witchcraft, of the British traditions specifically, you will do what it takes to get there. And for me, that was buying a plane ticket and flying across the country. It depends on how much you want it. Are the rituals usually done nude? I just see it in the video currently playing and I'm curious. Gardnerians, almost always nude. Alexandrians, both. Alexandrians are nude when the magic calls for it. And that has a more specific meaning once you're actually initiated and in the rituals, but that's what I'll say. Both. Is it a bad idea to be involved in witchcraft at age 12? No, but there is a lot of limitations. Some people are raised in witchcraft. Some people are just very curious, and they'll either stay with it for a long time or they'll just lose interest. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but there are a lot of limitations to what you can actually do at that age. I am trying to make more videos, but for the past few months, most of my videos have been on Patreon because YouTube has demonetized all my videos and they've stopped promoting them. So I'll upload a video, and where it used to get steady amount of views, my subscribers will see it and no one else will. It won't get recommended on the Facebook, the front of the Facebook page like it used to, and it won't pop up in the sidebar when you're watching other witchcraft videos. And that's been something that's happening to a lot of YouTube channels. So I just decided I'll make videos for Patreon where people will actually want to watch them and who will actually want to support me, where the platform of YouTube does not. But I'm definitely, like this one, I'm doing this one. And now that I got my live stream thing all set up, I'll definitely do some more reaction videos and other things like that, because there's plenty of cringy videos flowing in every single day to choose from. What would you suggest to solo practitioners? Um, I would recommend continuing to work your way up, continue to get better, and continue to try to make your practice as good as it can. And eventually, if you get to a summit and the next step is to join a coven or get people to work with, do that. Keep working up, keep trying to have the best witchcraft that you can. And for me, the best witchcraft I could was with a coven. Doing it on my own lasted a very short amount of time, and I was unsatisfied with what that could give me, so I wanted more. And that's the same for a lot of initiates. For a long time, they're solitary, and then they eventually feel the need for something more. And then once they get in that tradition, it's for life. So that's what I'd recommend. Just always, if you're a solitary practitioner, if you just started yesterday, if you've had the same altar layout for 5 years, just keep doing what you feel elevates you to the next level of your craft. Keep getting better. I am 21. I've been doing witchcraft my whole adult life into my high school life, so I don't know how many years that is now, but I'm 21 now, and I don't know. It's just always been something that's in the back of my mind since I was a child. I learned about it from a friend, and it's just always been something that's in the back of my mind. And when I actually decided to start exploring spirituality in high school, it just worked. And I just progressed, and I'm still doing it, and I can't imagine ever stopping. I mean, it's not like I can just, I don't know, it's very fulfilling to me. It'd be like if you were an artist and you painted all the time, just all of a sudden stopping painting. It's not something that I get bored of, and I can't imagine myself ever getting bored of it. Yeah, a lot of people say I look young. Recommendations on books that touch on traditional witchcraft. Traditional witchcraft, from my perspective, I would say one of my favorite books is Firechild, because it talks about someone, Maxine Sanders, who's been there since the beginning of the revival, basically, and who has so many interesting and fascinating stories to tell, and also so much wisdom. And I loved her so much just from all of what I read, and the way she speaks, and how she always speaks on what she knows. And she just has compiled so much wisdom over so many decades of her priesthood. And I was so honored to get to meet her and spend time with her this year. She's just as amazing in person as she is anywhere else. Yep, if you've been wanting something more, Roy, just keep progressing, keep getting better, keep getting to the best craft that you could possibly get to. I wonder if there are any more videos I can react to. I guess this has been going on for almost an hour. I think I'm gonna call it quits at like 6:10, which is in like 15 minutes for me. So if you have anything to ask, just ask away. Let's see, what kind of recommended videos? Nothing good in there. If you live in a very strict Christian household and you want to practice the craft, I would say wait until you can get to a better situation where you can find a better household, because You don't want your family's impression of your religion to be something that splits you apart or something that causes them discomfort in their own home. That being said, if it's something where you can't in any foreseeable future be leaving the house and you just really feel drawn to it, the mythology is that Christians have been doing it for a long time in Christian societies, or witches have been doing it for a long time in Christian societies secretly. So it's a possibility to just be more secret about it. What I would recommend is, in the meantime, before you can move, is just focus on your connection to deities and history. Try to plug into the life source of witchcraft and go back in time and read the books, even if you have to download them as ebooks so that no one can find them. Plug into that history because it's a very interesting, long history. And once you are plugged into that history, just explore the different deities that have been associated with witchcraft for a long time, the idea of deities, the ideas of spirits. There's so much in witchcraft that doesn't have to do with having an altar or having candles or statues or all these showy things that people like to show on social media. There's so much depth to it that has to do purely with the spiritual side of things that you can explore without buying any props. And your family that may not be accepting can't see what's going on in your head. And that's more fulfilling than just what you can buy and display for yourself, I think. Truly, in a spiritual sense, it's more fulfilling. Oh, if you missed the stream, it'll be on YouTube. Probably tonight it'll be finished uploading, but maybe tomorrow, because it automatically uploads once the stream is over, so you'll be able to watch the whole thing. A lot of people say that the color of the candle really matters, but if you look back in the history, candles usually were just made of beeswax and were yellow, or they were made of tallow and they were kind of a brownish white. The candle color is not what makes it work. It just helps fortify your actual pure, true intent when you do candle magic, which I hardly ever do candle magic. Black magic, the idea of black magic. Personally, I feel harming people is bad. It's not something I'm interested in. Even if they harm me, I'm just not interested almost ever in actually hurting someone. But if someone is really wronged, I think there's always room for debate. There's always room for justifying retaliation. And if you can't do it through physical means, it's up to you to decide whether you want to do it through spiritual means. And a lot of people do decide on that. My favorite books on mythology, witchcraft mythology specifically, are Margaret Murray's books, The Witch Cult in Western Europe and The God of the Witches. Also, Carlo Ginzburg's books. I actually have one right here, funny enough. Carlo Ginzburg, The Night Battles. Witchcraft and Agrarian Cults in the 16th and 17th centuries. Also, his book Ecstasies, Deciphering the Witch's Sabbath, Ecstasies by Carlo Ginzburg. One of my favorite books, too. They talk about the actual... Well, Margaret Murray's are often refuted, but I believe that there's definitely things in there which are actually true if the historians would just... if they would just... listen a little bit to what Carlo Ginzburg has to say. First of all, they look at the actual historical meaning of the witch's Sabbath and what truth lies behind it. Those are just really fascinating. The best information, the most up-to-date information about the New Forest Coven. The question is, do you think the New Forest Coven was a survival of an underground witch cult? The best information we have about that, it says that it was probably a continuation of something that was earlier. This is Philip Heselton's research. He believes that it was a continuation of something earlier before Gerald Gardner got into it in the, I believe, late 1930s. But it could have been 10 years before, it could have been 20 years before. Perhaps it could be much older, but the thing is, we have no proof to verify that. My opinion is that it was something that was actually believed by the witches, and it was passed down from their parents, because the descriptions Gerald Gardner gives of witches in a Witchcraft Today, he talks about them as if they are like Christians, where they just have this very strong traditional belief in their gods. Not like they wanted to rediscover something or recreate something, so they have this sense of fitting themselves into this new spirituality. It seems to me something that is actually very sentimental to the witches and something very deep. And that would not be the case if it was just invented very recently. I believe that it was at least one generation older than the New Forest Coven. As to any generations before that, it's anyone's guess. I haven't been using the Ouija board a lot recently. I've just kind of gotten bored with it. When a spirit really needs to talk to me, they do, and I don't need the board. But I could do some more Ouija board videos in the future. Chaos magic. My thoughts on chaos magic are it can be very, very effective, just like all forms of magic. But personally, I find it kind of boring and kind of rebellious just for the sake of rebellion. And a lot of chaos magicians, I don't feel like they're actually very powerful. They follow the principles of chaos magic, but only the few rare ones actually have that spark that allows them to do it. Where with witches, almost all of them have that spark, and almost all of them can summon up that power. And I don't believe that getting rid of all the frilly things of a spiritual religion, or I mean a spiritual practice, not a spiritual practice, a magical practice, less specifically. Getting rid of all the frilly stuff, I feel, doesn't make it stronger. It actually can weaken it very greatly, because we are humans. When we see a flickering candle flame, instantly our mind snaps to magic. When we see incense smoke filling a room, instantly our mind snaps to magic. If you take away all those things and just try to get down to the very core, I feel a lot of the magic can be lost, and your magical mind stops thinking. You make it mundane, and that can weaken it. I think I'm gonna end it there, because yeah, there's not many questions coming in. Either my thing is frozen or all the questions have been answered, but I think I'm gonna end it there. I hope you guys all enjoyed this cringe-worthy video. I hope it was entertaining and funny, and I hope I wasn't too much of an awful person to these beginners. Either way, thank you guys for watching, and if you have any other videos for me to react to, send them my way. Bye.